Welcome to our part 7. That is the second part of mastering our goals in life. Thank you for returning. Yes, can you hear me? Hi, I see you. My name is Jona Bryndis, as you know, and this is a workshop as part of the Sacred Self-Healing Program. In this workshop, we will conclude our discussion from last time, where we investigated what our goals in life are. And we found out some interesting things that required us to have a second part. But let me back up a little bit and give the context here of this workshop series in 2023. I think probably the most important workshop series that we have done in the Sacred Self-Healing community, which leads us not only to better adjusting to all this change, this transformation that is going on in our collective, but also better understanding ourselves and why it is so difficult for us to reach our goals. The second part of knowing ourselves better is to understand what we're doing wrong. Yeah, what is in the way, how we're unconsciously sabotaging ourselves, or how we are blind to certain things that fly under our radar. And what we want to discuss today is how this all comes together. Yeah, so we will find out that we have to learn to discern our goals from the way or the strategy that we are choosing to reach our goals, and then the tools that we are applying. This is extremely important, this discernment, and I'll say a little bit more about this. We want to put this together and see the larger perspective, namely what it actually is in our life, that we came here for. So we want to, as spiritual investigators, also put this into a karmic perspective. This is individual, and all I can really assist you with is give you cues, ask you questions. And lastly, we want to come to a conclusion as to what these greater goals in our life could be and how they relate to our, well, smaller goals. All right, so the question that we basically ended up discussing last time, and those of you who weren't there last time can chime in right now, was what are your goals in life? Do you know your goals in life? Those of you who were there can maybe give us a little scoop or a little summary of what they found out as we were raising this question last time. Is there anybody here who was there in the first part of mastering your goals in life who had an insight as a consequence of this discussion? What did you find out last time when I just simply raised this very same question? Do you know your goal in life? Yeah, so I'm seeing a chat here. Yeah, Linda sharing she was in learning mode, she was in listening mode, and doesn't quite remember because you didn't have your notes. You don't have your notes with you. Linda, if you don't mind me sharing, there was something very important that you learned last time. Namely that you don't actually know your goals. Do you remember that? Yeah. So once we started discussing this, we found out that most of us get hung up on the tools or how to get there or whether or not it can be successful, or whether or not it makes sense. And upon investigating, well, what is there? What is there? Where? Yeah, we all blanked out. We all blanked out. So this is exactly the kind of insight that I wanted you guys to experience. I wanted you to have that. Now, those of you who weren't there last time, now that you know what the purpose of the first part was, namely to realize that this isn't really as clear as I thought it was. What comes up for you spontaneously with this question? Do you know your goal in life?
Yeah, hi. It's Annette.
Hi, Annette.
Hi. I know some of it has to do with overcoming my family karma. I was aware of that very early on.
Okay, some of that.
Yeah, some of, but there's more.
That. Okay, what is that?
Very early and very important for me.
What is that? You mean your goal in life? Your goal in life has to do with your family karma, with overcoming your family karma?
It was a part of it, I think. It was, as a young person, it was very important for me. And I spent a lot of time on it. Yeah.
So you found out, and remember, this is sacred self-healing, okay? We're really investigating this, okay? So I'm paraphrasing what you're saying. You found out in the course, yeah, of working through aspects that basically landed on your doorstep, right? They just came to
Yes.
you. You
Yes.
figured out that a part of your life's goal is to overcome family karma.
Yes.
And in particular, what were those aspects, those karmic family aspects that you discovered? Can you name them?
Yeah, I remember seeing the pattern was the same, repeating itself, but especially not addressing difficult things, not wanting to talk about it, and
Okay.
constantly shoving it under the rug. And that was the important part for me. And then the solution was taking medication for it. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I hear you say. Okay, you found out that there was a negative pattern.
Yes. And
A
I didn't
negative
want
pattern.
to continue that. And I
And you
also
didn't want, okay.
thought that I don't have children myself, but that my nieces and so on would not have to go through that.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
recognize that there's something like a tradition almost,
Yes.
yeah, or something that just is being done because it's always been done that way, that is passed down from one generation to another that you experience as negative.
Yeah.
You said that the reason why you experience it as negative is because it doesn't really lead to resolution. The part of that pattern was just basically avoiding conflicts.
Yes.
Yeah, avoiding conflicts and perhaps masking them. Yeah, taking
Yeah.
medication for, like, say, depression or anxiety, or
Yeah.
having problems, quote unquote, was
Yeah.
just sort of,
Maybe
yeah.
it was also as what do you call suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so issues, yeah,
Yeah.
mental and emotional issues weren't
Yes.
addressed. They were just either delegated to the medical system, or they were just not talked about.
Yeah.
Almost, and I'm adding this now just because I'm reading your energy as you're saying this, almost with an aspect of shame in it, not just because there was no real tool within the family to resolve these things, but also to not wanting others, say neighbors or whatever,
Yeah.
to know about it,
Yeah.
right? This is very important, Annette. This precision, yeah, for you to become more aware of what it actually is that you discovered on your own journey. But those are just things, let's say, that landed on your doorstep, right? Those were things that you discovered that were working against you striving for your higher expression. Yeah, you striving for your higher goal or your goal.
Yeah.
So you discovered, like all of us guys, this is how it comes to all of us in karmic family and inner child aspects. Therefore, you know, are usually the first kind of obstacle that we have to learn to overcome, yeah, is what's in the way of reaching our goal. What's in the way? You discovered what's in the way, and
Yeah. Okay.
you worked on overcoming it, and you noticed that as you were working on overcoming it, yeah, we call this healing, that things became perhaps easier or better for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but this does not answer the question, what's your goal in life?
Okay.
This just answers
Okay.
what was in the way of reaching
Yeah.
your goal in life up until now.
Yeah.
Okay,
I see.
so what's your goal in life? Do you know your goal in life? Do you think that your only goal in life is to overcome obstacles that are preventing you from reaching your
No,
goal?
no, you're right. No, you're
Mhm.
right.
We can get fixated on that, guys,
Yeah.
and this is
Yeah, that's
a
right.
very typical
Yeah.
confusion that we have, and this is why this workshop is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, by removing the obstacles, we're not working on our goal. We're just removing the obstacles when we work through inner child or karmic aspects.
Hmm. Yeah, I think part of going through that is a part of my goal, because I feel that I can help others with doing the same.
Okay, so that has to do with purpose.
Yeah.
That's also something different than goal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay.
You discovered a purpose. You discovered that
Yeah.
there is something cool about having learned to overcome these particular obstacles, because most other people have the same problems, and you might actually be of assistance now that you have learned to overcome that. It's beautiful. Okay, but that just answers what is the purpose of your karmic journey. What is the purpose of overcoming your karmic stuff, the obstacles? You got that figured out, which is great. Because that's most people don't get that part. Why do they have to go through so many struggles? Why do they even have to go through overcoming obstacles? You decoded that. You can see the purpose in that. Not only did it lead to healing and removing of obstacles for yourself, but it also awakened or gave you an impulse, yeah, to maybe be of assistance to others. That's something I want all of you guys to take note of, because when we look at, you know, the two main questions in our life that can lead us to finding out what our goal is, namely, what do I want to create out of myself for myself? And what do I want to create out of myself for others or the world? Yeah, you got to step closer to your goal. Now the
Yeah.
question is, do you have to be aware of your goal in order to reach your goal? What do you think, Annette? Do
I
you
think
have to
it would
know
be
your goal?
easier to know my goal. It would be easier to reach
But
it.
how
Yeah.
does it go when we use our phone to map out directions? What would a true materialist say? If you want to reach your destination, you got to have what?
The address.
You got to have the address. You got to have the GPS coordinates or something. You got to have, you need two things. You need the where you're at, right? Like
okay, and
where you start and where you want to go. That
yeah,
is a materialistic point of view. It is true for some of aspects of our journey, but we can also discover, and this is, I think, what you meant in the beginning when you pointed at the karmic aspects of your journey, is that there is some kind of guidance in us, some kind of impulse that kind of leads us to it no matter what. Yeah. It may go in baby steps, right? Yeah. Yeah. And we
it
may
feels
find it may feel very like cumbersome, like work intense, right?
yeah,
To go through all these little obstacles. Yeah.
yeah,
And really what happens a lot of times, just to raise more compassion for ourselves, is that we in this fixation on the obstacles, that we sometimes lose sight of where we even want to go.
yeah.
And this is extremely important. Let this work through you here for a moment. We don't need to have coordinates or addresses per se for our life's journey. But we do have to have at least a little bit of a feel of the direction where we want to go, guys. Why? Because if we don't have that, we miss out on the bigger picture. Yeah. We get caught up in the obstacles. We get caught up in all those struggles and overcoming and removing. Yeah. And what does that do to our attitude? Annette, you're still here with me, and I know you have the answer for this. What did this overcoming struggles and obstacles, what kind of attitude did you develop toward life? You
That I have to work for it. I have to constantly work for.
You have to constantly work for it. Okay,
Yeah,
this isn't necessarily bad or untrue, because there is an element of that is true, but more so, I know what your life view used to be. Yeah, it was a negative life view.
Yeah.
Not just that you have to work for it, that is a constant struggle.
Yes, it's hard work.
Hard work.
Yeah.
Constant struggle. All right. So out of that kind of attitude toward your life's journey, what do you think, but having such an attitude, how high are your chances that you're actually in touch with where you want to go? Yeah. If you have this negative attitude toward getting there, do you think it's likely that you are motivated and, energetic and directed and focused?
No, I don't
No.
think. No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is if you don't know what your goal in life is, yeah, at least the direction. Yeah. It is so easy to get distracted with all the obstacles, losing sight of what you even want to do this for. Yeah. And in spiritual terms, it means you lose touch with your inner guidance, with that part in you that sends you the impulses, yeah, to work toward it. So this is important to understand. And you've all heard me say this a million times, that what's really powerful in life, yeah, what has the power to overcome any obstacle, is a conscious choice. And we've talked about this before. What do we need to master our choices? Well, like, how can we even make this conscious choice? Yeah, it has to do with the state of energy and the attitude and the sentiments that we're having in the moment of making choice. If I have a negative attitude toward my life, or life itself? What do you think the quality of my choices is?
I think at least you have to be over truth, or over that barrier.
Yeah, you're referring to, you know, like the energetic state. So
Yes.
when I am in a negative attitude, yeah, when I have a negative attitude toward life, yeah, it's
Yes.
you're saying, okay, then that's somewhere here in the red zone, right? You're either like angry about life, or you know, angry at God, or angry at life itself, you know, or you're afraid. You just feel like life is happening to you and you can't control it and you're powerless and you feel like a victim of life. Yeah. Or you go into even lower states such as, you know, desperation, apathy, you know, where you just feel, oh my God, life is so hard. I don't want to live. It's so hard. I can't do that. So a negative attitude, guys, produces lower vibratory states. And lower vibratory states produce lower vibratory choices. Now, with this logic, what do you think has to happen in order to not just make better choices, but to align them more, yeah, and to align ourselves more to the goal? If you look at the slide here, Annette, I think you can pinpoint what your goal is. It's not a certain material success, right? It is a certain state.
Yes, it is.
Which one would you pick from those choices that you see on the screen here?
Yeah, joy.
Joy. Okay. Yeah. Life is good. So these are all on the same level, right? There's no resistance to anything. Yeah. And it's peaceful to a degree, because if you're not resisting anything, if you're not, you know, if you see the obstacles as they are, you know, you accept truth as it is, you know, you take your day-to-day things as just things that happen along the way. Yeah, little speed bumps, or little, you know, traffic lights or whatever, right? That slow you down a bit, but you still know where you're going, right? You still enjoy the ride. So do you think it is possible to make choices that lead you to joy if you focus on the negative aspects of your journey?
No.
Thank you.
That's not possible.
Good. Okay, so thank you for being my guinea pig here, you know, to walk you through the systematic steps of investigating what your goal is. Now let's start this discussion again. And let me ask you again, Annette, just very quick, and then we can listen to others wanting to share. Annette, what's your goal in life?
Yeah, it's to feel that life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have a joyful life experience, perhaps even, you know, inspire others.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
and seeing the good, and the beautiful, and the creative in life. Okay. Write that down. You see, you will have to remind yourself, whenever you go through obstacles, why you're going through obstacles and what the purpose of them is. And if you cannot see the purpose of them, you did, in hindsight, you can say that overcoming, the part of overcoming your karmic family stuff and your inner child stuff was to get out of that fear of confrontation and suppression and judgment, right?
Yes.
So that you can see now. Now you can. While you were going through it, not always.
No.
But you have a higher perspective now.
Yeah.
Because every time we heal something, every time we remove an obstacle or a challenge, we grow. Where do you see yourself here now, as in having worked your way toward your goal? If you would have to pinpoint, your primary energetic state, which is expressed in your attitude toward life. There's always bad moments that we all have low moments, but
Yes.
your primary attitude toward life. Where would you place it?
I would say allowing.
Allowing. Nice. Yeah, so overcoming obstacles, yeah, which in your case included karmic aspects, family, inner child stuff, has helped you heal some of these things in you that were keeping you from developing a more positive attitude toward life and from experiencing the joys of life. Now, as a consequence of that healing, you can be much more present and recognize through your heart, yeah, what it is that you're experiencing. Yeah, you're in a higher state of empathy with yourself and life, which means if you do it in the systematic way here, yeah, that all you really got to do now, do you know what it is that you need to do? Do you know the way to get from here to there?
Yeah. I think the main thing would be expression.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
obviously staying, in that space,
Yeah.
yes, that staying in your heart, always reminding yourself to allow things and not resist things, being more present, and then, aiming at the next level, which
Yes.
is, the expression of
Yeah.
love, doing everything with love.
Yeah.
And thus starting to experience the abundance of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way.
Yeah.
And do you know the tools how to do that? Have you accumulated tools on the way that allow you to know what to do? If we go back to the materialist example with the car and the phone and the driving directions, yeah, the phone is a tool and the car is a tool, right? Yeah, they're just tools. The way to
Yes.
get there is driving.
Yeah.
Because you could also choose to fly or take a ship or whatever, but you're choosing to drive there, and the tools you're using is a car and your phone. Do you know what the tools are that can allow you, all right, to, stay here, stay heart-centered, yeah, stay true with yourself, and to learn how to express yourself more in love, express what you do with love? Do you know the tools? Do you have a tool?
I think that's where I'm at now. Sometimes I don't see it clearly.
Okay, and
But of
that's
course, staying in my heart as much as I can, and the expressions part is something that
it's a little obstacle still. It's a little speed bump.
exactly
Okay.
not
Okay.
feeling comfortable enough.
All right. So you feel uncomfortable sometimes doing that, but do you know how to practice that? Do you have a tool that helps you doing that more and more? Or is it blank? Do you not know how to do that? I mean, that can be, it's fair, it's fair to say I'm still working on the tools. I have a few tools and I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm seeing positive developments. Yeah, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm still working on my toolbox.
Yeah, one of them is sharing, like here. I think
Sharing. Yeah, sharing is a big one.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, in your particular case, where expressing also has a lot to do with actually verbally expressing things and
Yes.
verbally addressing things, not just expressing, also addressing things. Hey, I'm not sure if I like this, or, the confrontational part of that, because think back of your karmic aspects. Yeah, the pattern here that you grew up with, all right, it will still be in you as a sort of invisible resistance,
Yes.
which means you already know what you're up against, right? What are
Yeah.
you up against when it comes to your expression?
That 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 you don't express. There was
No,
no.
that's not what you're up against. That's just a result of, of these obstacles. What are you inside of you? Usually fears. Okay, what kind of fears are you up against here? What are you resisting about expressing?
It feels it feels like there's some shame.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just
Yes,
think of
there's
your
a lot.
karmic aspects. Your karmic aspects provided you the tools, okay? Because they showed you clearly what it is that you need to work on. Okay, so shame, and shame why? Because there's a fear of what? Yeah.
Yeah, judgment, criticizing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of that. Yeah, yeah,
That's the big fear, right? There's still
yeah.
a remnant of fear of being judged when you
Yes,
express yourself.
yeah,
And some of it may just be like, the lack of practice. Okay, so I can
yes,
tell you, as someone who has diligently worked on trying to express myself more clearly, that it really is a practice, a matter of repeating it. Yeah. And so when we look at our karmic aspects, they provide a toolbox, guys. Yeah, they give you very, very important cues as to what exactly it is that you need to work on in order to get to your goal. Yeah, it's like your inventory.
hmm.
So the fear of judgment is probably fair to say, when you look at the totality of your karmic family aspects, yeah, is the fear of judgment
Yeah, yes,
on all different levels. You know,
yes,
neighbors, friends, family, maybe even God.
yeah,
Right.
and myself.
Well, obviously,
Yeah,
because your higher self is, linked. It's the Godhead in you.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the part in you that is not separated from higher power, and therefore, you know, we all need to be very, very aware of the negative inner self-talk, because the negative inner self-talk, as this in form of this ego a voice, yeah, represents the very thing that separates us from our inner divinity, from our higher self. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Critical inner voice, guys, is a huge obstacle for most of you. And you don't realize how you're literally preventing yourself from getting to your goal, because all you do is listen to your critical inner voice. And let me tell you one thing, I've already shared this on many occasions, that 80% of your thoughts aren't your own. But you know what the worst part about that is? Is that 90% of things that you're thinking is just a constant repeat of the same stuff.
yeah. It is.
And that's scary. For
Yeah,
someone who's on a conscious journey, that means you can't trust your mind and that voice in you at all. Because if push comes to shove, if you allow that to happen unconsciously, it will just feed you with all this negative stuff, yeah, that you had to work so hard to overcome. Which is why we had this wonderful workshop about how to mastering how to master your thoughts. You have to go back to that, guys. And next is also mastering your emotions, because your emotions are linked to your thoughts. So if you feed yourself day in, day out, 80% of all your thoughts are negative thoughts, and they repeat. Yeah, it's 90% of what you're hearing. 90% of what you're hearing is negative messages coming from yourself. Okay. Whoops. Linda, can you turn off real quick? Yeah. 90% of that is negative messaging, unconscious negative messaging that's still linked to some kind of unresolved karmic inner child issue that is now influencing your emotions. How do we measure emotions in regard to reaching our goals in life? Through our attitudes, our attitude to life. So your negative attitude is a product of your 90% negative thoughts and those influencing your emotions. And as a consequence of having a negative attitude, how do you think that influences your motivation? The energy that you're willing to put into this.
Yeah, of course it influences in a negative way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, guys, remove your negative thoughts, because then your attitudes are more positive. And if your attitude is more positive, you're much more motivated. And guess what happens if you're much more motivated? It becomes easier.
Yeah.
So when
Right.
people ask me, when does this overcoming obstacles end? Well, I have to stay in truth and say it never ends. But when I say that it never ends, I don't mean to say that it will always be a struggle. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, yeah, we will have to continue working on it all our lives, because you know what? This is the bigger goal, the greater goal in life is to constantly strive for a higher expression. But just because it's a constant striving doesn't mean that it's a constant struggle. And that's what we all need to separate from another. It's only a struggle if we fixate on the stuff here. As soon as you get past this first big threshold, yeah, which allows you to detach from stuff, it allows you to let go of things, it allows you to muster the courage to change something, yeah, and then consequently also move into forgiveness, into understanding, and opening yourself up for new options, yeah, allowing things to be there, being more present and recognizing that you don't have to resist it all, yeah, and also experiencing, you know, what it's like if you look at things through your heart's perspective.
Jona, can I ask about something?
Yes,
because it's because sometimes I still struggle a little with if I feel negative and know that I have to be more positive. I sometimes feel that it's fake. You know, I'm thinking,
sure.
Is it because you are avoiding the negativity, or is it just fake?
Well, there's a lot I can say about this. We actually did a workshop about that as well. Okay, so just like telling yourself you should be more positive isn't going to do it. Why? What's the energetic quality of that statement? You should be more positive.
Perhaps it's judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about a different way of talking to yourself, such as, can I see the positive in this?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
even something like just like an empathy about this and say, oh, I got a lot of negative thoughts today. Let's consciously try, to see the positive, to use such an experience of your inner negativity as a motivation, as a motivation to change that.
Yeah, I can.
What do you think you need to be able to change something? What is at the core of what we just talked about? What is at the core of recognizing that you have a negative thought or, negative attitude at this moment without judging it? What's at the core of that?
Acceptance, perhaps.
Yes, it has to do with acceptance. The consciousness about it. You have to have the insight that you're actually negative right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to make the unconscious conscious. That's the big deal. That's the big hump. That's when you move from here to here. Okay. Now, you still may feel the negativity of it, but you already know that this is not what gets you there. You already know that. You already know that that's like the old way, and the old way couldn't get you there. So you already agree within yourself, this is a higher choice that you've made, that negativity isn't good. That's not a good tool. You do not want to use that tool anymore. No. You still have it programmed in you, right? So it's a habit. It still keeps coming up, but you already know that's not getting you there. All right, let's find an example here that we can apply to our real life materialist example. Me personally, I don't really like the voice that comes from my navigator for my phone. I turn that off because I find that actually very controlling and very stressful. Yeah. So I've already learned, that if I want to use my phone as a navigator, I need to turn that voice thingy off because I've found out that it stresses me more. Okay. That's just me. That's just me. Yeah. So that voice, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like the voice on your phone that tells you at the next light, turn left. Yeah. You know that one. Okay. Me personally, this is a personal experience. I don't like that voice. It stresses me out. Okay. So I found out that that's not a good tool for me. I turn it off. I said, oh, no, don't want that. And that's how you have to deal with your negative thoughts. You become aware of a negative thought and you become aware of the effect that it has on your emotions and your overall attitude and your overall energetic state. And you realize, I don't want that. So I'm going to take charge of that. Don't judge yourself for how often this happens. Just find a good tool to turn it off. Do you have a good tool to turn off your negative thoughts, Annette? A good tool to clear your negative thoughts. Do you have one? What works for you? What is a tool that you found out that can help you to overcome?
Walking helps me. Yeah,
Okay.
it can help me if I'm walking.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not sometimes it's still, but not as much as earlier with ruminating. But I know
so you
that
can
it helps.
You can knock out quite a bit of negative thoughts if you just go and take a walk. Okay, that's wonderful. And the very persistent negative thoughts, where walking doesn't work, do you have a tool for those? If, let's say, you took a walk and you still got, a little bit of that going on. Do you know what to do?
I know that sharing is verbal expression is a really big tool for me too.
Okay, so in practical terms, what, like calling somebody, calling a friend and say, oh my God, and I'm just keep thinking about this and I can't get my head out of, thinking about this. Okay.
Then laughing, it can help me a lot. If I can laugh a little about myself, it helps.
Awesome. Okay, so this is phenomenal, Annette. Yeah, you could identify the problem or the thing that makes it hard for you, yeah, to have a more positive attitude, which is the negative thoughts. You even know where they come from, so you don't really have to think about why am I thinking this. And you also realize that judging your own thoughts is like an endless loop, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're back there. Okay, so stop, so you stop asking yourself or telling yourself, oh, you should have more positive thoughts. No, that's not a tool that gets you there. That just gets you into frustration. That just gets you into that negative emotional state, which then affects your attitude, which then affects your motivation to do anything. Okay, it lures you back into coping. Okay, and you found out that walking things off, talking and sharing with friends or people who are interested, right? And what was the third thing?
Laughing.
Laughing and humor
Yeah.
are great tools for you to overcome your negative thoughts. And with it, the obstacles, one of the obstacles that is preventing you from, well, in your case, I'm not sure yet, but at least preventing you from getting caught into a negative attitude. Now, whether or not you know your goals, I'm not sure. Do you know your goals?
From the beginning, I have write love, growth, fun, joy, freedom, and abundance.
All right.
I think love is the most important because I have always known that there's something about love. So I looked at the,
Yeah, be a little more practical here. Love is just a word. How does love as a life goal express? Like, how would you measure it if you have love or if you're in love? How would you know?
Yeah, how would I know? It's something with peace.
Okay.
Peace.
Why peace? Why peace? Is something absent when you're in
I
love?
think it's peace from my mind. I
Okay.
think something.
Yeah.
How did I love? It's something about connection also, but
Yeah, connection is obviously the way to measure this. Yeah, it's a connection within yourself, and if you have a good connection within yourself, then well, you can also have a good connection with others.
Yeah.
You just described the feeling. It's peace. To be a little more precise, I would like you to describe what the difference is between peace and not peace, just so that you know a little better what it actually is that you're striving for.
I feel that peace have something with when I'm not judging myself and others, then
Wonderful.
I feel there is much more peace to be myself.
Wonderful. So you just defined your goal because it's not enough to just say words.
No.
My goal is blah. No, you got to know what it feels like. You got to know when you reach it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How to measure if you're reaching it. Mm-hmm.
It also felt uncomfortable when you asked what are your goals. It felt like
Right, because it made you aware that you actually don't know. But but that's why I'm walking you through this, guys. That's why these workshops are so important, and the sharing part. Yeah, and as I was walking Annette through this, it wasn't just for Annette. Yeah.
No.
So now you know that what you are aiming at, is somewhere here. Okay. Yeah, and you define that as the absence of that. Right. Right. Yeah. So you know that you're there when this is not there. But that's not enough because when you're here, then this is already gone as well. Okay, so there needs to be more to this. Not just the absence of inner conflict, because that's what peace is. Peace is the absence of inner conflict.
Yeah.
There's more.
Yeah. The connection, the
Mm-hmm.
heart connection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's this one here.
Yeah.
Being present with yourself.
Yeah.
Connecting with your true self, allowing everything to be there, you know,
Mm.
including inner guidance, having
Yeah.
empathy for yourself and others.
Mm.
You know, so
Yeah.
very similar to Annette. This is the
Yeah.
second hump. That's what I was just going to talk about. So after you took the first hump, which is being in truth, where you have the willingness to let go of your old patterns because you found out that your old patterns aren't going to get you there.
No.
Okay. And then, you know, we go through, and this is where most of us spend most of our time with our sacred self-healing journey. Yeah, working through these aspects, understanding, trying, accepting, trying new things, growing. Yeah, and finally arriving in a place where we are able to connect with our hearts and slowly also become able to connect with others more deeply. Yeah. And then, you know, and this is important for you to know, because it can't just be the absence of inner conflict.
No.
That's not good enough.
No.
Yeah? Love is more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? What other attributes would you give that state?
Yeah, I know that the expression is really important. And
is it for you similar to like Annette with the verbal expression?
Yeah.
Where you feel the biggest impotence, like the biggest resistance?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to give you guys all who have a problem with verbal expression another tip. So I already said some of it has to do with practice. Okay, so it really becomes easier as you do it. So it's like learning a new language. Annette, you're not a native English speaker, and in the course of us working together, yeah, through coaching and through workshops and all kinds of programs that you did here at transCODES, your English has become phenomenal. Okay, and what was the tool that got you here?
Practice.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So if anybody, you know, would know, you know, what your state of English was 5 years ago compared to today, would not believe it. Your vocabulary is phenomenal. You can have deep spiritual conversations in English. Most people can't even have those conversations in their native language. Yeah, so I want you to recognize it has something to do with gratitude. Okay. Yeah, that you already found ways in other areas of life, yeah, how to master something through practice. You're also a dancer. You know that it's a given, yeah, like dance moves and stuff like that. How do you learn them? Well, through doing them over and over and over again. Yeah. So that's a tool.
But I can also say it's not many times I say I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of not my English in itself, but that it's possible for me to have conversations in English. So yeah.
Yes. So that's wonderful. That pride, you know, you don't have to call it pride, call it gratitude.
No, but yeah, gratitude. Yeah.
And express that gratitude. Okay. So for all of you having issues with expression in whatever language, practice internally with expressing your gratitude for the moment that you're experiencing right now. And see expression not just as a verbal thing, but as something that has to generally to do with giving and receiving. And you know what? Since we all know that it is our inner connection that facilitates outer connection, in other words, our inner relationship with our higher self is at the core, is the foundation for the relationships and the deeper connections that we can have for others. Right? Practice expression with your higher self. through prayer, through energy processes, through just saying hi every day. And isn't this wonderful that I can have these conversations in English or Danish or whatever language, that I have the awareness. Thank you. Thank you for opening my eyes. Thank you for giving me the guidance to follow through on all of this, even though it was hard sometimes. Yeah. And do you see what happens when you talk like this to yourself? It neutralizes all negative thoughts right there, because it's so powerful. And what is the power here? The power is the positive attitude, because you've already experienced that it's possible. You just said it. You're proud of the fact that it's possible. What you probably meant, Annette, is that you are surprised and happy that even someone like you could get there, right? Because part of your negative attitude is, oh, this is only for others, and I'm the only one who can't get there. I'm not good enough. I can't. Yeah. Anybody here? Anybody ever had those thoughts? Yeah. Annette knows a lot about that.
I said 5 years ago, I said to Annette, it will never happen that I talk English, never.
That's a pretty negative attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
And you know, when people say this to me, I mean, if I get to talk to them like in the hardware program or the training club program where I get to have a weekly energy session, I do this a little differently. But if it's just a one-time thing and somebody says to me, I'll never be able to do that, I just say, uh-huh. I just say, uh-huh. You know why?
Yeah, because they have to find out themselves.
Well, I mean, yeah, that anyway, but first I have to believe it.
Yeah, yeah, of
Somebody doesn't believe that it's possible to overcome something or to heal something. Yeah. And he or she focuses on the negative expression of that. It won't be possible.
No.
You see? So negative attitude is one of the biggest obstacles for all of us guys, and we have to consciously work on that. So coming back to your initial question, obviously, if you look at positivity and negativity in a shallow way, then yeah, so you can't come from this sort of super ego collective new agey perspective and say, oh, it's bad to have negative thoughts. That's not deep enough. Yeah, because I would investigate the nature of my negative thoughts, where that comes from and why it's so hard for me to overcome them. But what's more important is to recognize that the power to overcome a negative attitude lies in a positive attitude. So can I find a positive attitude here? Yeah, because for as long as I do not believe, and this is particularly important for any of your goals that lie here in this area, 9 or 10, they require you to believe that, oh, this is possible from your heart, from your heart. Now here you can get to here with your mind. Yeah, but then that's the highest you can get. You can't get past that. Yeah, you can have glimpses of what it's like to experience your heart. You can have, moments of empathy, moments of presence, but you still struggle with it and never get past it because, and here is the more spiritual realm, because deep down you probably don't believe that it's possible.
No.
So one of the obstacles that we can experience on our journey, reaching our goals is, well, the first one we already found out is not even knowing what your goals are. Second is a confusion about, what is a goal, what is a way, what is a tool. Yeah, so we got to figure that one out, like differentiate. And the second one is we got to believe that we can do it, that we can get there. Can we be critical about this? Is it fair to say, and I would have probably said the same thing, Anita, at that time when you made that statement, you'll never be able to speak English? Is it fair to say that I doubt perhaps that I had the skills to be doing that? Yes, that's fair to say. But don't say I never get there. Say, at the moment I doubt that I have the skills. But all I can do is promise to myself to try my best.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I can say to you, Annette, here in front of everybody, that one of the biggest powers that you have is that you make that commitment to try your best, and you really do.
Mm.
And that is a way for you personally, how you express through your commitments. You're just not always 100% clear what these commitments are. Okay, and that's the work that you will need to do going into the future, to defining this more. This all has to do with expression.
Mm.
Yeah? Like I want, what's my goal in life? I want peace. Okay, that's not deep enough, because on a superficial level, you just define that with the absence of peace. That's the ego speaking. The ego doesn't want to have pain. It doesn't want to have conflict. It doesn't, not good enough. That's not a good enough goal.
No, okay. I can see that. Yeah.
I want to have a dog. I want to walk my dog every day. I want to cuddle with it. I want to feel this. I just want to have this around me, and flowers and da da da. Well, that's a goal. That's a good goal. Okay, because it comes from a place that is based in your heart.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
And then you can think about, okay, what are the ways to get there? Yeah. And in our personal coaching sessions, we talk about that.
Yeah.
And then what are the tools that I need on the way? On the way to get to my goal.
Yeah. Mm.
So most of us actually get stuck in the obstacle. Okay, so we don't actually ever get to what is my goal, what are the ways, and what are the tools. Some people know what their goals are, but they get stuck in the ways. They want one way, the ego way. And maybe they tried two different ego ways, and it doesn't work. And they're like, yeah, I want to have this and this and this, and I've tried, but it's not working. What would you recommend to someone who says that?
Try it in another way.
Yes. Well, there are some people who say, I know what my goal is, and I know kind of how to get there. I know the way to get there. But somehow it's so hard, or it drains me, or I run out of energy. Maybe they're not using the right tools. This is a lesson that I needed to learn in a hard way in many different areas of my life. One day I decided I want to run a marathon. And I started running. And the first time I ran, I made it about 500 meters. I'm like, okay, well, that's a bit of a long way to 42 kilometers, because all I get is like half a kilometer right now. So I realized, okay, I probably got to practice. So I practiced every day for 6 weeks. And I got to 10 kilometers. And I was like, if I can get from half a kilometer to 10 kilometers in 10 weeks, in 6 weeks, sorry, I wonder how far I can get in another 6 weeks. So I got really motivated. And I continued doing this. So I just increased the difficulty level. Yeah, added like 1 or 2 kilometers per week. And as I was doing that, I started to get bloody feet. I started to have knee pains. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just not cut out for marathon running. Maybe that's not for me. My body can't take it. And I had these friends that I was running with, yeah, my running buddies. And they're like, don't you want to get different shoes? And I'm like, nah, I don't need different shoes. Okay, long story short, obviously I did end up running marathons, no problem, but I had to change the shoes. And I paid dearly for it later because I used these wrong shoes for so long that my knees got a little misadjusted through that. So I end up having knee surgery. And I now know, yeah, don't save on running shoes. Yeah, because your body needs a good tool to be able to do this, especially when you're trained that much. Another example is something that I run to still to this day. Jeff and I cook fresh every day. And we have these knives. And I don't know if you know what that's like, but every day I get frustrated about the dullness of our knives. Even if we sharpen them, they're not like the super expensive knives. They're just sort of medium expensive. Even if we sharpen them, they get dull very quickly. And this is something that took me almost 35 years. And when you use cheap tools, tools that where you don't really pay a lot of attention to, where you don't express that you're worth it to yourself, right? You usually only aim at cheap results. So it was Jeff then who said, well, you know what? I know this knife company. I have one of these knives and I have that for 25 years and it's just as sharp as it was the first day. And so we end up paying a lot of money for a really good knife set. And unless I use those knives, all my other knives are constantly dull. And it reminds me of this lesson. You have to invest in your journey with the right tools. Yeah. So it's not just repetition. You also need to become a little more aware, you know, of how you're choosing to get there. And sometimes, you know, this can be in form of books or teachers or teachings. You know, we get to a certain place with one teacher or with one kind of book, and then we out vibrate it. We get farther. So like the first 10 kilometers, I could run them every morning with my crappy tennis shoes. Yeah. But if I wanted to get farther, yeah, then I needed better shoes. And that's exactly what happens on your journey. Yeah. With the tools that you use. Sometimes you need to change the tools. Sometimes you need to evolve your tools. Sometimes you need to challenge yourself, yeah, to go to the next level, because that's then where the next level of growth occurs. And we're running out of time now to, you know, come up with a list of different ways to get to our goals and different tools. This is maybe something that you want to do as a homework. Yeah, create this list for yourself. Yeah? First, you state your goal. Make sure that you mean every word. Yeah, don't just write one word. Love is not a goal, guys. Okay, read a full sentence. Yeah, or healing is not a word. Write a full sentence with subject and predicate. Yeah. Make sure that you mean every word, and then write a list of ways. Maybe you've already found the right way for you. Maybe you're still looking for a way if you don't know yet. you know, then maybe write down the ways you've tried, yeah, that didn't work. Okay. And then write down a list of tools that are working for you, that you have tried that are working. Yeah. And maybe leave a little space to add tools as you go, because sometimes, you know, as we continue to grow and then continue to experience new things, new tools appear. Yeah. So as we were walking through this here with the 2 examples, yeah, what determines our attitude, we found out, yeah, that a lot of our attitude has to do with the quality of our thoughts and the energetic state that these thoughts are being made in. So here the reminder to go back to mastering your choices, because you need to know how to change that. And then to go another step deeper, mastering your thinking, mastering your thoughts, okay? Mastering your thinking, mastering your choices. That's what you need to change your attitude. And then what determines your motivation? We found out that it has to do with emotions, yeah, with your how you feel about something. And that's something where I want to redirect you to the mastering your emotions, okay? And with those to mastering your thinking and mastering your emotions, there were also some practice workshops. One was overcoming your critical inner voice and negative inner self-talk, and the one for mastering our emotions was about handling big emotions. Yeah, so there is like 6-8 hours of really deep investigations into how to change our motivation. Yeah, this is really important that you understand how these things are all connected. And then you may want to go back to your goal and perhaps test your goal if that's really your goal. Maybe you want to, you know, be a little more differentiated about it. Yeah. Use the Hawkins's map of consciousness, maybe to find exactly, you know, sort of what it is, and apply what we've talked about here today, how to overcome negative attitude, negative thinking, negative feeling, which is all the red zone here, the ego stuff, through truth, yes, through learning how to let go, how to refrain from things, how to work through family karma, inner child stuff, shadow stuff, and especially inner judgment. Yeah, so that we can be more present in our heart. And then how can we, you know, reach the even higher goal beyond that, namely healing, abundance, love, and free expression. Yeah, the free flow of energy. Expression has to do with the flow of giving and receiving. Yeah, it has to do with manifestation. And in order to take that hump, guys, here now we're in a realm that's called spiritual, because it has to do with our beliefs. Do I truly believe healing is possible? I have this and this physical ailment. Do I believe that it can be healed? I have this and this emotional issue, maybe in relationships, in regard to my family, kids, or something. Do I believe that there's healing there? Or I have this or this financial issue, or I have this or this issue with self-esteem, you know, with recognition somehow. Do I believe with the core of my heart that I can overcome that? And the tool, yeah, for not only checking on your deep inner beliefs, yeah, which often is, you know, comes up in context with manifestation work, where you have to overcome deep unconscious beliefs, yeah, because they still run us. They often link back to family karma and so forth. Yeah. What happens when you remove all these old beliefs? And what are you starting to feel there? And this is then, you know, when we're talking higher consciousness, when we're talking, you know, being in connection with your higher self at all times. And if you're asking me, yeah, my goal in life is to help others to reach their goals in life. How? Through applying healing, through applying love and empathy, through applying expression, through applying abundance. And the tools that I use are energy work, energy coaching, spiritual counseling, online meditations, online courses, in-person courses, in-person workshops, online workshops, retreats, you name it. Everything you see on my website, basically, everything that you see that I offer is a tool for me to reach my goal. And that is a commitment. That is a promise that I've made to my soul self, that I'm dedicating, I'm devoting my life to that on all levels, you know, and with variations of the theme as well. Well, like with the school that I'm running, you know, that's a variation of the theme. I'm doing this for kids, for little kids. Originally out of curiosity, because I want to see what happens to a human if they actually get all this info, all this stuff, all these insights that we are gathering here together, that we're sharing at a young age, where they don't even have to deal with all these negative inner self-talk and unconscious beliefs. Yeah, out of curiosity. I've been doing this now for 3.5 years, and I can tell you what I am observing, what I'm witnessing there is amazing. And children do not get fed with those negative thoughts. It's amazing. Yeah, so that's just another tool. And I am sure that this will never stop in my life. I'm constantly seeking for new tools. I want to build a healing center, a retreat center. I want to invite other healing practitioners into that. I'm starting to do online, in-person sunset meditations once a week here in Orlando. Do you know what I mean? There is no stopping that. And people ask me, where do you get the energy from? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm doing. And when I say I know what I'm doing, and I said this last time, I don't mean like I got it figured out. No, I'm trying to figure things out myself as well, like you guys. Trying to find better ways all the time. Yeah, developing new tools all the time. But I don't see it as a struggle. I don't see it as hard work. It fills me with wonderment and curiosity. Yeah, let's see if this is an even better tool, or let's keep developing this. Let's improve this. Let's keep doing it. Can you feel that? Can you feel the power in that? I have so much energy. And you know where that comes from? Does anybody have an inkling where I get these huge amounts of energy from? You say divinity, Linda, and it's partially true, yeah, but first you have to understand something else. And that's the same to me. No. First, I got it from you guys. The interaction, the feedback. And then I realized that it's possible, just like Annetta said earlier. And that motivated me to go even further, to a point where I am willing to dedicate my entire ego, yeah, my ego life, yeah, to it. Because I realize this is who I am. This is who I am, and this is what I do. And there's no mistaking. And Aneta, you might find that interesting. I have zero conflicts in my head about that. I'm in total peace. Does my family sometimes complain that I'm working too much? Yeah. But that's the problem when you're with someone who has dedicated their life to a goal that is not just a goal that has to do with what can I create for myself, but also what can I create for the world. It's a greater goal. That is what a greater goal is. And you know what that does? And it fills me with tears when I share this with you. Everyone I come in contact with, everyone I work with, gets the same spark and starts to grow and starts to wanting to get better. Every teacher that I hire, yeah, even volunteers that help to work in Master Tree, people that help me to run transCODES, it motivates them. So it's not just motivating for myself, my motivation, my belief that things can be healed, and knowing the way and knowing the tools that can do that ignites other people's lights. Yeah. So that's when it becomes self-perpetuating. So in that way, Linda, you're right. So my soul self, yeah, my soul self is my higher self that is not separated from divinity. So therefore, basically the same. Yeah, I'm following orders from my higher self. Okay. And that's not like I have to do it as my destiny or my fate. No, I want it. Yeah. And I want you to know that it's possible. This is coming from someone who has had a very traumatic childhood, who's experienced various degrees of physical and sexual abuse in society through, like court cases that were dismissed because nobody would believe me, yeah, that has experienced misogynistics, yeah, of the corporate world, someone who wanted to kill herself twice. Huh? Sometimes, yeah, the ego is so big that it has to go that low. In my case, I guess that's the case. It had to be that low. Yeah, here, down here. Okay. For me to discover that. And you hear a little bit of humor in that because obviously I can laugh about it today, but 40 years ago, 43 years ago, it surely wasn't fun. And the difference between me today and me then is that today I know that everything is just energy and that everything can be transformed and thus become healed. Everything. How do I know that? Because I have experienced it myself. So go on, everyone, and go and experience that and become more aware of your unconscious beliefs. Because it's not just a matter of your thoughts and your emotions. It's a matter of your beliefs. No? Someone who does not believe that things can be transformed, that things can be healed. Yeah? In a Christian way, I guess you would say, someone who doesn't believe in the mysterious ways that God works, and someone who believes that their ego knows better than God. All right? For those people, healing is not possible until they become aware of it, until they make the unconscious conscious and change that. And for most people that I've worked with, whom it was hard for to believe that healing is possible. It was really just that. And so I've dedicated my life in showing people that, letting them experience it with their own body, with their own emotions, with their own thoughts, and with their own heart and soul. So stay conscious, keep practicing, and check on your deep inner beliefs and reframe them as often as you need to. Reframing as in, don't criticize yourself for having a negative attitude. Just say, oh, no, that's not truly what I believe. What I truly believe is that everything can be healed. I love you guys. See you soon, I guess. Yeah, we have a special coming up here in June. Do aliens exist? So let's have a lot of fun with that discussion in 2 weeks. All right?
Thank you so much, Jona.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Jona.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.